Have you ever noticed how your mood, your habits, even your ambitions kind of shift depending on who you're with? Well, it turns out there's this quiet, invisible force shaping our lives, often without us even realizing it. And that force, it's the people we spend our time with. The legendary investor Charlie Munger, he did not mince words about this. He called these negative influences one of the greatest dangers in life. Now, that's a pretty heavy statement from a really sharp mind, and it just goes to show how critical this topic really is. The stakes are incredibly high. And that's the tricky part, right? This isn't about someone sitting you down and actively trying to convince you to change. It's way more subtle. It's like osmosis. You just sort of soak up the attitudes and behaviors of the people around you, a lot of the time without even consciously agreeing to it. So, to really get a handle on this, here's how we're going to break it down. First, we'll dig into this quiet force and why our environment is just so darn powerful. Then we'll figure out how to spot those negative associations, and more importantly, what the healthy ones look like. And finally, we're going to get practical with a little test for your own life and talk about a huge choice we all have to make. Okay, so let's jump right in with the big idea. Your social circle is secretly shaping you every single day, whether you like it or not. So, how does this actually work? Why does our environment have such a powerful grip on us? Well, it all boils down to some pretty basic human psychology. You see, we are fundamentally wired to imitate. It's just built into us. It's how we learn, how we connect, how we form communities. But look at this list. What's wild is the sheer range of stuff we absorb. We're not just talking about picking up a new phrase or a habit. We soak up their standards for themselves, their insecurities, their ambitions or lack thereof, even their emotional tone. You can literally absorb someone's chaos or their calm. And this leads us to a pretty stark truth, one that can be tough to swallow. We don't magically rise above our environment. We conform to it. And listen, this isn't a knock on your willpower, it's just a fact of human nature. Your best intentions will almost always lose a fight against a powerful, persistent environment. So let's define it. Association is basically the process that shapes who you are faster than your own good intentions can shape what you do. It's this external force that often just overpowers our internal drive. Okay, now that we understand just how powerful this force is, how do we spot when it's working against us? Let's talk about the red flags, what Munger called those perverse associations. You really got to be careful around people who do these things. The ones who make being irresponsible seem normal, or who encourage you to be cynical about everything. The ones who confuse being cruel with just being honest. These kinds of behaviors, they make playing small feel normal, and they make mediocrity feel like it's just inevitable. You start to shrink, and you don't even see it happening. But here's the most insidious part. The real danger isn't that these people are going to logically argue with you and, win you over to their side. No, it's that their constant presence just makes you stop questioning things, period. Their worldview becomes the background noise of your life, and you stop asking yourself if this is really who you want to be. And this is such a key point. The most dangerous influencers usually aren't the super obvious toxic people you can spot from a mile away. Nah, it's the subtle stuff. It's the friend who always pulls you into gossip, the partner who, in small ways, rewards you for being passive, or the workplace that treats burnout like it's a badge of honor. These are the 1,000 tiny nudges that slowly steer your ship off course. All right, enough of the negative. Let's flip this around and talk about the solution, the incredible, game-changing power of healthy associations, of finding that upward pull. I mean, just look at this. The contrast could not be more stark. It's night and day. On one side, you've got associations that lead to feeling small, to mediocrity, to chaos. And on the other side, a completely different world. Growth, accountability, clarity, and just a sense of emotional steadiness. The outcomes are polar opposites. So what does it actually feel like to be in one of these healthy associations? Well, it feels like clarity, it feels expansive, it feels psychologically safe, a place where honesty is welcomed, not punished, where curiosity is encouraged, and kindness is just the default setting. It's an environment of genuine mutual respect where you feel seen and valued for who you actually are. And here's the beautiful part. In that kind of environment, you don't have to constantly grind and force yourself to grow. You just rise. It's like a hot air balloon. The warmth of the environment itself gives you the lift. It happens naturally, quietly, almost automatically,
because the people around you are pulling you up with them. Okay, so how do we bring this home? Let's use a super practical test to take a hard look at the people we spend the most time with. Think of it like looking into a mirror that shows you your future. No, seriously, take a second right now. Who are they? Your partner, your best friend, a few colleagues, your family? Picture the 5 people who get the lion's share of your time and energy. Got 'em? All right, now for each of them, I want you to ask these 5 critical questions. Number 1, do they think clearly, or is their thinking often distorted and negative? 2, are they emotionally healthy and stable? 3, do they take responsibility for their own lives, or do they play the blame game? 4, are they living a life that's aligned with their own stated values? And finally, number 5, do they genuinely, truly encourage your growth and celebrate your ambitions? The answers to those questions, well, they're basically a sneak peek of your own future. Because here's the deal. Your life isn't shaped by that motivational speaker you watch once a year. It's shaped by your consistent day in, day out exposure to the core people in your circle. And this all brings us to our final and maybe most powerful idea. This whole thing isn't just about choosing your friends. It's about choosing the very atmosphere you're going to live and breathe and become in. This right here is the key takeaway. I want you to think of your associations not just as people, but as the literal air you breathe every single day. And if that air is toxic, if it's filled with cynicism and chaos, you're going to get sick. But if that air is clean and fresh, filled with clarity and respect, you're going to thrive. So I'll leave you with this one question. It's a choice that we're all making every day, whether we realize it or not. So as you go from here, I want you to actively decide what kind of air you want to breathe. What atmosphere are you choosing?